decided to make it my mission to get... Oh, sorry.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 110
Hey, gang.
of Tys and Videotape.
Hello.
That's a clean example of what it's like hanging out with Nick.
That's true. I'm just going to jump
Stream
in.
of consciousness.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this thing. Quick.
I'm going to tell you this... Oh, sorry.
Oh, we're doing something else? Okay.
Okay, cool. What are we doing? 110 episodes. And we are talking about 1984, one of the best years of cinema. 84, what'd you say?
Some great stuff in 84.
84.
Shit, yeah.
James Cameron's The Terminator.
We are.
Jesus.
Very
exciting.
exciting.
This is cream.
Yeah,
stuff.
this is a big movie for us.
This is a massive film.
Yeah, it's taken us a while to get around to it.
Yeah.
Is it our first James Cameron movie that we're discussing?
Yes.
I think so. We haven't talked about. No, it is our first. Yeah.
No True Lies, no Titanic, no
Avatar.
No Avatar.
How have we not done an episode on Avatar?
Because I vetoed it.
Maybe. We probably should. I reckon.
Hey man, I'd love to talk. To be honest, I'd love to watch a rewatch because it's been a while. I literally have not seen it since I put on those 3D glasses at the cinema for the first time.
I am with you there. That is the only time I've sat and watched the whole thing. But we're not talking about Avatar. We're talking about the first Terminator movie.
Beautiful.
The Terminator.
The Terminator.
We may be a bit premature on this because later this year, of course, we're getting the 6th Terminator film in the franchise, Terminator Dark Fate. And we're all collectively holding our breath.
We're not collectively. We're all going, oh yeah, I'll watch it when it comes to streaming.
I think I'm over it.
Because we're done. We're all done. Like, you can't bring back... Bringing back Linda Hamilton is awesome. That's great. That should have happened in 3, though.
Yeah.
Or Salvation.
Dying of leukemia. Crap.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
How do you do that to Sarah Connor?
Yeah, she doesn't die of leukemia. She dies of a bullet.
She dies in a rain of fire.
Exactly.
Saving hundreds of lives in the process.
She goes out in a blaze, like kamikaze blaze.
That's it.
Yeah.
But we will get to all that, of course, Nicholas.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the people where they can find our show?
Well, it's been a while, but thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We are Tys and Videotape. My name is Nicholas. This is Tyson, and we thank you for joining us. If you like what you hear, subscribe, like, review,
rate.
That's a good one. Do all those things. On Apple Podcasts.
Anything that you can click, just fucking click it.
Exactly, click it away. Don't unclick. That's not a thing.
No, that's not nice.
But yeah, do all those things. Do it on Apple Podcast or do it on any podcast streaming.
Yes.
Other than that, we are on all the social medias, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those things. Tys has been chucking up a few fun things on Facebook that everyone's loving at the moment.
Indeed.
There's a lot of different things on the different socials. I try and put up different posters that I like to put up. You know what? I like to put up posters that people haven't seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Especially on the Insta. But other than that, we're on YouTube.
We are on YouTube.
We have an email address, nicktysonvideotape@gmail.com.
Yes, if you'd like to maybe request a film for us to talk about or something for us to rate or anything, or even just some correspondence, because that way we can open up the mailbag again.
That's right.
We've been getting a lot of requests and things like that, which is awesome.
Oh, shit.
Not a lot of just general correspondence. So if you've got a question, if you want to hear us just fucking chat about something.
Yeah, you can do it on there. Or you can do it on the Facebook. That's fine.
That's it.
We love our champion fan, Luke Watsford. Who jumped in with, I think it was a clarification. Was it clarification?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So this actually brings up a good point. So before we get to our regularly scheduled programming. We have a couple of, this is funny. I need to make
please do.
Like a correction.
Oh, here we go.
So some kind of
is this a no, what is the new a retraction?
A retraction.
We're doing a retraction.
We talk a lot of shit on this show.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And look, not all of it is factually correct. I'm the first to admit.
Hell yeah.
But I think we made probably one of our biggest gaffes of all time.
Oh,
last
did
week.
we? Really?
Me personally, and then you agreeing with me.
Right.
So we both
agreed.
At no point I made the shit comment and I was not picked up on it.
Right.
I made a comment, and I'm ashamed of this comment. We were talking about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves last time we were chatting.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Alan Rickman, the great Alan Rickman.
Oh, yes.
And
what did we get wrong?
The comment came that Alan Rickman wasn't exactly a household name before this film. And I said, yeah, no, he wasn't. This was the film that actually made him.
Well, for us, he was.
No.
No?
Well, this is the thing.
Right.
How in God's name
was this before Die Hard?
Did I miss Hans fucking Gruber?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I didn't think of it either. For some reason, it just didn't jump into my head.
Oh, really?
And I listened back to the episode, as I do, just to kind of check to make sure the edit all worked and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, that is That is
factually wrong.
Unforgivable.
Wow, that's for a film podcast. That's a massive.
Yes.
Babar.
So this is our first official retraction, despite all the other bullshit that we've spouted as well.
We normally edit it out, but clearly that one got through and that's quite a big one to get through as well. That's not a small one.
No, I was ashamed of myself. Excuse me, Hans Gruber.
Did you pick that up, or did someone else pick that up?
No, as soon as I heard it, I went, well, that's a complete lie. What are you doing?
Well, at least you picked it up rather than someone else go, guys.
Well, I'm pretty sure anyone that listened would have gone, well, you're a fucking idiot. But yeah, so furthermore to that, we did get some really nice clarification from Luke Watsford. Adds to the amount of time in the Lord of the Rings movies,
very
novels,
specific.
from Gandalf leaving the Shire and entrusting the ring to Frodo to then returning.
Exactly.
So, 27 years?
26
years.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's a lifetime.
That's definitely not covered in the movie.
No, but
it's like 3 days
do that.
in the
Like
movie.
they can't do that. The movie would be weird. 26 years later.
Oh yeah.
Like you can't do that.
That'd be so good.
It's just be bizarre.
But in the same style as Endgame, where it comes up 26 years later.
Yeah. I love that.
Very good. Hey Nick, why don't we move on to our normal scheduled program?
Oh sure.
And talk some trailers.
Let's do it.
Everybody's talking
trailers.
All right. Well,
Okay.
we're not going to be talking about D23 related things.
No.
But there was a lot of good information that came out of that. A couple of cool, fun new TV shows
That's
that
true.
we had announced.
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, man. Bring that on.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah.
Is that what he's called?
Moon Knight?
Yep.
Will
And
be
there's one other one.
Kit Harington will be Moon Knight. I got nothing.
No. And a couple of new Star Wars things. We got the Mandalorian trailer and a new teaser for Star Wars 9.
Yeah.
We're not talking about any of those.
Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp, which looks really cute, by the way.
Did that give you chills when you watched that as much as The Lion King? Definitely not.
No, well, it's a different kind of. I wasn't as close to that growing up, so. But it's a beautiful trailer. It really was lovely.
Yeah.
Lots of Disney Plus stuff. We got a good idea of what Disney Plus is going to be like. We're not going to talk about any of that.
No.
We're going to talk about Edward Norton's directorial and writing, not debut, but follow-up to what was the last thing he did?
It was the Faith one. Keeping the Faith?
Keeping the Faith.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yes.
Fucking awful film.
No good.
Jesus.
This is a movie called Motherless Brooklyn.
Okay, listen. I got something wrong with me. That's the first thing to know.
I got threads in my head. I got threads in my head, man.
I twitch and shout a lot. Makes me look like a damn freak show.
Can't you ever cut that out?
I'm sorry.
Touch it, Bailey.
I'm sorry. But inside my head's an even bigger mess. I can't stop twisting things around. Words and sounds especially. Have to keep playing with them until they come out right. Sorry.
Jeez. Forget I asked.
Like I said, a damn mess. Then I started working for Frank. Frank Minna, Private Eye.
Boys.
Frankly, Franco.
He's the one who taught me how to use my head, turn it into a strength. He gave me a place in this crappy world until I screwed up.
Frank!
Brooklyn's in trouble now. Ooh.
Does anybody know what Frank was into on this?
There's something going down, and it's big, and they were not happy about what he found.
We find who did this, and we square accounts.
If I figure it out, I'm gonna make him regret it. I promise you that. That's her. That's the girl that Frank was following.
I think she found something.
What happens to poor people in this city wasn't news yesterday, and it won't be tomorrow.
Where's everybody go?
Mostly just disappear.
This town is run by Moses Randolph. When someone isn't seen for what they truly are, that's a very dangerous thing.
Do you have the first inkling how power works? Power is knowing that you can do whatever you want and not one person can stop you. Those people are invisible. They don't exist.
If you threaten his work, he will destroy you.
You all alone?
You got no idea.
You're webbed up in this somehow, and these people aren't gonna stop.
You got a head just like mine, always turning things around. Some people call it a gift, but it's a brain affliction just the same.
Do you remember what I said?
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
What don't I know?
So, Nick.
I'm a sucker for noir films. That's what it is.
Yeah. And it'd be nice if it was shot like a noir film, though. It's shot like a cheap, not even HBO. Like
it looks like one of those. You know how it looks like one of those The Town or something, like a Boston.
At least that had a bit of style in its cinematography or something. This looks. It does. It looks styleless, doesn't it? It does. It looks really flat, and whether or not that's a deliberate choice, and he's trying to kind of almost film it like a movie from the 50s, maybe, and it's all very natural, but it feels like it's just overlit,
very on a dolly or setting a camera in a spot.
Just basic, basically just put the camera where it can see everybody and do your basic over shoulders.
Look, I'll agree with you.
So that was interesting.
Sure.
The cast looks amazing.
The cast is intense,
which seems to me like it's one of those. Okay, Edward, we'll come and do your new movie for you.
As if you turn an Edward Norton down.
I don't know.
No,
I feel like he doesn't have the same
down?
clout anymore because everyone's kind of cottoned on that he's a bit of an arsehole. So, but who knows? But the cast looks fantastic. Obviously, Edward Norton. Bruce Willis looks like he's finally, getting out of bed for
he's
an afternoon.
Yep. Alec Baldwin, who
I love.
Willem Dafoe,
Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah, I love Bobby Cannavale. You got Fisher Stevens in there.
Oh yeah.
Coming out of the woodwork, yeah. I looked at it before. I was like, "Oh wow, really? What are you doing there?" It was so funny. Who else is in it? There was. I love how my phone does this to me. Right when we
just shits itself right at that one.
Just shits itself right at the good moment.
But tell me about this voiceover. It's obviously it's a very typical noir technique to have the hard boiled voiceover.
Yeah.
In this trailer, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
No, it's weird, especially because if his character does have that...
Oh, should his voiceover have Tourette's?
Yeah,
as well?
Exactly.
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think...
Is that how it works? I don't know enough about it. Does your stream of consciousness also suffer from
I don't think
tics
so.
and things like that? That's interesting.
So, but
still. So it's already a bit of a weird conceit in that we're doing a gangster noir kind of pick with the lead character suffering from Tourette's syndrome.
Is it Tourette's?
I believe
it is
so.
Tourette's, yeah.
Maybe it was pre-diagnosis of it.
Sure.
But it's clearly what they're going for.
Yeah.
So we already have something interesting because we now have to... How much of this performance are we going to be like, oh, God, just give it a rest, Edward Norton?
But you don't know,
well, that's it. You don't know. Maybe it's going to be a really sympathetic portrayal, and we're going to, it's going to it's going to open doors to this terrible condition, and we're going to understand more about it. I sadly think it will be less of that, and it will be more like a narrative conceit, and
which is what he's done before. You remember I've spoken about this before. The other film that was quite like this, where he put this on the score with Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro.
Yes,
that he did, and that trailer looked boss.
Yeah,
that looked so good, and then that film just shat the bed. Like,
didn't it just
hard shit?
Yeah,
like.
That was not an enjoyable movie.
You're not getting that out.
And I did see people kind of making that comparison and say, right, so it's the score and kind of a bad episode of Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
And so I'm not super excited about this.
I'm going to watch it. 50s noir is my thing. I love the cast. I'm a big... I'll back... to be honest, I think I'm the only one who would maybe prefer Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo. Bruce Banner.
No,
I think I'm the only one driving that train, and I'm fine with that.
Sure.
But yeah, I like Edward Norton. I like him.
Yeah, I think I agree. He's very good at what he does. He's an excellent. He can put in a really great performance.
Yeah.
I don't disagree at all.
Yeah.
I get kind of douche vibes from him. And so when he's writing and directing it
and starring,
it's kind of amplifying, and it's like
triple. It's a triple.
Let's see the vision of Edward Norton. Having said that, he apparently directed American History X. Backseat directed it, and when they kicked out what's his face from the studio and from the editing room and everything, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so and
everyone loves that movie.
And that's the reason. I think that's a big reason why they kicked him out of Marvel is because
he was like, no, it's either my way or the highway.
He tried really hard to kind of take the reins on Incredible Hulk, and they were like, no, that's not how we do things here. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm not really excited, but if it's reviewed really well and then good word of mouth, you can watch it for me first, Nick, and tell me if it's any good.
I will definitely do that.
And then maybe I'll give it a crack.
I get a little excited about things. You have to kind of calm me down
true.
a bit. Nick, how about you have a cup of tea, calm down, you watch this, and then, after 2 days, then tell me what you think about it. Not straight after, because that's a bit full.
Fair call.
You need to go to bed, Nick. Can I ask a question? When you see that triple right star direct, does that put you off straight away? Because that puts me off. That normally, like if I see it, like even if I watch it, if I go to see a trailer, because I watch it on appletrailers.com, and that will give you a little who's starring in it, who wrote it, who directed it.
Yep.
And if you've got bang, 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 and all three are the same person, I won't watch the trailer.
Right.
I'm out.
Interesting.
No, it's it's very rare that I'll watch that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't put me off just based on that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's interesting to see someone's singular vision.
Okay.
I do find that interesting. So the idea that it's completely his ship. Yeah. So if we have any kind of doubts about Edward Norton creatively, if we are kind of, you know what I mean? If we're on the fence and we're like, yeah, he's a good actor, he might be a good writer. Oh, I did hear he kind of backseat directed American History X, and that turned out okay, blah, blah, blah. When you see written, directed, and starring, you can basically put all that to bed, and that is Exhibit A.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Because that's what it should be. So if it's somebody who I am interested in creatively, and I see that they have that, I'm like, all right, cool. This then should encapsulate everything that you're talking about as an artist, what you want to do.
Yeah. Because the first one that comes to mind that I was thinking about that, because I don't. It's so funny when it happens accidentally, and I watch it and go, oh, that was really good. Like, wasn't A Quiet Place all John Krasinski's? Right star direct? Wasn't that all him?
No, it wasn't.
Writing.
He didn't write it, or he might have co-written it. I think they were different writers. But I think he did direct it. Yeah,
he did direct it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And well, that's in, and that's.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and then I watch that and go, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, then, and that's what. And now you look at John Krasinski and say, oh wait, this isn't just a funny dude from The Office.
Yeah,
he knows what he's talking about. And so that's it's dangerous because it can have the complete opposite effect.
Yeah.
Like, you can watch something and just be like, well, that was garbage, and no longer want to
watch whatever you bring to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You suddenly doubt the entirety of their creative output.
Which is why, if we're going to watch this, it's literally going to drop Edward Norton to already a maybe to kind of, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm almost already at that point.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't like him in Birdman? How good was he in Birdman?
Yeah, he was great in Birdman.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like he was just kind of playing
Birdman?
himself, like a heightened version of himself.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birdman's great.
Michael Keaton got robbed.
Yeah, what one that year? Leo?
No.
Was that year?
Fucking no. It was. I'm pissed. I really don't like that this guy won. He's done 3 things. Yes. He's done 3 fucking things, and he wins Best Oscar.
Yeah, that was.
I'm like, and then if you watch back, because I've watched it, you watch back, and Michael Keaton got out of his seat and went like that, and went and sat back down, and I was like, that's.
That was Theory of Everything, wasn't it? Or, yeah. That's not the worst movie, but it was
all right.
It was a real shame when Michael Keaton probably won't get the opportunity again.
No, he won't.
But also,
Rain Man will, maybe.
That kind of performance, though, it should kind of be the things that we're rewarding. Like,
you're talking about
Birdman?
Right,
yeah. Like the way that he was just it was so like bearing.
Yeah.
You know, like in physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Not just an impersonation. As good as an impersonation as it was.
It was a very good impersonation.
Anyway.
Moving on.
What's the next one we want to talk about?
Next trailer, which is a little bit more exciting. What are we talking about?
Underwater.
Oh, underwater! Oh, shit.
Listen carefully. You are now 5,000 miles from land, and you're descending 7 miles to the bottom of the ocean. See you all in a month.
Here we go. All right, we're gonna do this. Let's do this.
a scale from 1 to 10, how bad's my rig?
10. We drilled to the bottom of the ocean, and we don't know what came out.
Gotta get to the station.
How will we even get there?
We walk.
We're just gonna walk with insufficient oxygen across the bottom of the ocean.
We don't know what's out there.
Worst idea ever.
What was that?
Turn your lights off.
What is that? What is that?
What is happening?
There's something following us.
This looks fun, Nick.
I literally just watched this thing.
The January release date frightens me a little bit.
Oh, okay.
January being the dumping ground of garbage.
Really?
Yeah.
Is January the
Jan and
dumping ground?
Feb. It's all the stuff that people are like,
they're like, oh yeah, we're done. Yeah, let's
There's not a lot of confidence in January and February releases, although it's kind of
award. It's the last moment for awards.
But that's not for a movie like this. It's counter programming to award stuff. Yeah. It's like if people are sick of award bait, here's a trashy thriller.
Do you want to see
trashy action movie?
Denzel Washington in Fences, which is it's a slog. It's a great slog, but it's a slog.
Sure.
Or some fun underwater stuff where monsters are going to come out and
exactly.
TJ Miller's going to make you laugh your ass off.
Yeah. We're not meant to like TJ Miller, are we?
I love it. I don't know.
Didn't something happen with him? Why is he still working?
He had allegations.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
So technically, we probably shouldn't like him anymore?
No, but he was cleared.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's I don't know.
Well, he's still making movies, so
exactly.
We'll just have to take it for what it is, I guess. Yeah. This is starring Kristen Stewart. Who has become a really interesting actress, I think.
You are, yeah.
I know you don't.
You can say that.
You don't appreciate as much. I quite enjoy where she's gone post Twilight.
Yeah,
I think
she hasn't blown my skirt up. There's nothing that comes to mind, and I've seen a lot.
Yeah, I just think she's got a really interesting presence, and it's different from typical leading female performances.
Yeah,
she's got a real edge to her.
It's very different. She's definitely not your Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, it's very different to that kind of energy.
And she's not your who's your every woman? What's her name? Who played Catwoman in
Halle Berry?
No, Dark Knight Rises.
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, that's the one. She's not Anne Hathaway.
No, nothing like any of those kind of performances. Halle Berry. The Catwoman movie that everyone thinks of first.
I know, totally. Yeah, I'm talking about. I'm laughing at the fact that
the best Catwoman. Excuse me.
Wrong answer.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. She does bring something that's not the norm to the table. So I do like that.
Yeah.
Was it Adventureland? I did like her in that.
She's great in Adventureland.
I hated him, but he's a dick.
American Ultra. She's really interesting. That was a fun little movie that kind of caught me off guard.
Okay.
It wasn't great, but I had a good time.
I'm a big fan of Joan Jett, and she played Joan Jett in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
She did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
The film was very basic.
I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now we have this kind of, it's a bit alien-esque. It's a bit...
yeah.
What's another underwater alien movie? Leviathan?
Yeah.
What else we got? Underwater, yeah.
But the thing is, like, it's underwater is the same as space.
The abyss?
Yeah, it's the same as space.
It is.
Like, this is just alien underwater. That's all this is. But it looks fucking cool.
Oh, and
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's exactly the same because the 100%. Outside of the ship can
can't
kill
go
you.
out.
You can't go out unless you've got to have very protective gear on and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're only safe on the inside of the ship. If the ship cracks in any way, then parts of the ship are no longer habitable.
We're screwed.
Habitable. What did I say? Habitable.
Yeah.
And there is a monster after them.
And there's a monster after them.
Yeah. Which looks
and
pretty
we have a crew
terrifying.
that's going to be, taken away one by one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Similar crew vibe to Alien as well. Very working class.
Yeah. I love how the trailer starts off with, "Okay, gang, you're there for a month. We'll see you later. See you at the other end."
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Have fun. Suckers.
Yeah, seriously.
But
do you
yeah.
know what's funny, though? Put in that situation, if I got paid the right amount of money, I'm in. I'll do that.
Nah,
I'd 100%
not for
do
me.
That. I'd 100% do that.
Well,
especially when it comes to, remember, how long was Sam Rockwell up on the moon for?
Oh, it's years, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was
7 years.
No, I think it was 3.
Okay.
We suck it. It was 26 years he was up on the moon.
It was a solid stint. Regardless.
It was a solid stint.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'd probably do that as well.
I would be more inclined... No, that's a complete lie. What am I talking about? I'm never getting in a spaceship in my life.
No, but if they pay you a fair amount, we're talking your
bloody anxiety attacks when I watch anything, any kind of space takeoff. I'm like, couldn't pay me enough money in the world to get into one of those fucking things.
I would love it, especially because I love, even takeoff on a plane when I'm going overseas. I'm like, here we go. And they slowly turn the plane to aim towards a runway, and I'm like, it launches. And do you know the bit in Finding Nemo? When they're in the tunnel and it's the turtle and he's like, righteous, right. That's me when we take off on a plane.
Look, yes. Depending what mood I'm in and how many Scotch and Cokes I've had before the flight takes off, I do sometimes enjoy takeoff.
I fucking love it, man.
But I need to be in a pretty particular frame of mind.
It's a ride and a half.
Yeah, I think this trailer gave me anxiety. I think it's a really good trailer. Yeah, because the threat of drowning while dealing with a monster in a confined space. It's a triple header, man. I don't like confined spaces. I have a fear of drowning, and
a monster is coming to eat.
Everyone hates monsters for whatever reason.
Exactly.
They've all got their own reasons, mostly because they will kill you.
A lot of teeth.
Yeah,
or not, just cocoon you and just sex you. That's messed up.
Just sex you.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, please, not again. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Yeah. My mind kind of went Rick and Morty there for a second.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, no, I'm not doing that. But yeah, I agree. That, it looks so good.
It does look really great. A director that is, I hadn't seen the other film. He's directed a couple of films. One that did spring to mind was a movie called The Signal, which I hope was okay.
Yeah.
A horror movie to do with radio waves or something, like a phone signal or something. It was that. Maybe I'm confusing that with The Cell, which was that Stephen King story, because I feel like they had similar plots.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one was, what was the other one? Broken City that he did 2013.
I don't think he directed that. Did he write that?
What? Oh, no, he
wrote, produced maybe, or...
I have no idea.
Okay. I saw that was listed on his IMDb, but not under his directorial credits. So maybe he was
he
second grip. Oh. No.
His second grip.
He wrote it, did he?
No, he's got no. I've got.
You got nothing.
I got nothing.
We'll never know. There's no way to discover the answer to this question.
There is. I just can't be bothered.
But yeah, I like to see a bit of Vincent Cassel as well. He's always a bit
Vincent
fun.
Cassel.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's always good.
Why isn't
solid.
he doing more?
I think he works a lot in France.
He's primarily a French actor,
but any chance to give a shout out to Brotherhood of the Wolf, I'm always keen for. So if you haven't seen that movie, go and watch Brotherhood of the Wolf.
2003? 2?
Yep. Yeah. Maybe
back when films were really shit. They were like, what are you watching? Jesus, this CG is just PlayStation 1.
There's some terrible CGI in that movie. I'll definitely grant that. The main monster in it is not fantastic to look at.
Don't they hide it really well?
They hide it well until they have to reveal it, and then it's very disappointing. But that movie itself, there's some incredibly great stuff in that. Christoph Gans, I believe, is the director. Yeah. Anyway, Underwater looks great.
We're going to see.
Giving me massive anxiety.
Yeah. So how did you go when you watched The Descent then? If you're
I
suffering,
watched The Descent. What are you talking about?
Oh, really?
I thought I made that pretty clear.
Well, maybe we could do that this Halloween. You're going to watch The Descent?
Yeah, all right, let's do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No,
that can be... We're getting real close, Nick.
We are. We're getting very close.
We're probably about 5 episodes away from Scary Movies.
Jesus.
Spook us.
Well, this is your cue, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like us to do a specific one A horror film that we haven't done.
And, you're right, a horror film we haven't done. And also because...
Oh, God. Don't do this again.
Yeah, we are doing this again. You know we are.
We're doing a short one this year, okay?
No, I'm putting it out to the people. If there is a franchise that you would like to hear us rate, because our last episode of our Spookisodes will be, starting last year, we've decided that we're going to take a horror movie franchise and we're going to rate them for our We Rank stuff. Rank, not rate.
Shit.
Last year we did all the Saw movies. We did. We swore we would never watch a Saw movie again in our lives. I still have nightmares about Saw movies. So this year...
Saw 4 was so shit.
We are going to be looking at another horror franchise. We're not quite sure which one yet. I've got a few suggestions.
I will be vetoing Friday the 13th.
Don't give us no Friday the 13th, because we're not watching
15
movies.
fucking movies.
Not a chance.
No.
Something less than 10 movies would be amazing.
Give us some Chucky. Give us some Final Destination.
Yeah, Final Destination. Hell, the Scream movies. Give us a break, and we only have to do 4.
Look at
that. But yeah, we'd love to hear your suggestions.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the show.
I like that.
Underwater. We got anything else to say? It looks good.
No.
Great.
It does. It looks good.
Thorough as always, good, Nicholas. Yeah. Let's do our feature press.
What are you talking about? That was thorough.
And now for our feature presentation. In the 21st century, a weapon will be invented like no other. This weapon will be powerful, versatile, and indestructible. It can't be reasoned with. It can't be bargained with. It will feel no pity, no remorse, no pain, no fear. It will have only one purpose: to return to the present and prevent the future. This weapon will be called the Terminator.
You're dead, honey.
What day is it? The date?
12th May, Thursday.
What year?
I'm here to help you. I'm Reese. DN 38416, assigned to protect you. You've been targeted for termination.
Why does it want me? Why me?
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Terminator. Your future is in its hands.
Well, here we are.
Okay.
I'm very glad that we've gotten over our hoodoo of not talking about these kind of huge movies that meant so much to us, delaying them for a while. And I'm glad we're just tackling them all head first, because I really love this movie.
This is up there.
It's so much fun.
I can watch this anytime.
I could watch this any time. I don't think I ever get sick of this movie.
No, there's no one part either. It's not like, oh, I know what this is. I'm gonna make a cup of tea. No, I'm in. It doesn't really let you go, though. Like, I didn't realise that there's no... Apart from...
We're doing Terminator, by the way. Terminator 1984.
That was so rad.
Just in case people have skipped
to
this point.
That's
maybe because
true.
they don't want to hear us talking nonsense about trailers.
We're talking about everyone loves
It's
our
in the
trailers.
title. I mean, what am I
Exactly. They've clicked on it, you idiot. It says Terminator. I totally forgot what I was saying. No, the pause. The only real pause that you get in this movie is when they are just having a rest in the hotel. I'm skipping way for it, but still.
No, of course.
Otherwise, this is
the lull, and
fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
This thing happens in 48 hours.
And perhaps that conversation, that small amount of time in the drain pipe as well, where they get to kind of...
I like that scene. That's a nice scene.
But the tension is still high at all points.
Yeah.
What this movie achieves really well is that, that impending doom of it all. So even when they do feel like they have 5 minutes to themselves...
Yeah. They've got to be quick.
It's like you're constantly worried about him just showing up again.
Yeah.
It's that... it's an extension of, well, the movie It Follows, I feel like, is an extension of this idea that continuously moving to escape the threat, but you can only, like, yes, you might gain a few hours on them, but then when you stand still, you've got to think about that time because he's just going to keep coming.
Yeah,
so
he's not stopping.
You never really earn a rest.
No.
It's just kind of like you're constantly on edge.
So good, man. Like, researching it a little bit and having a look at what James Cameron wanted to do and what his vision was. He wanted it to be very similar to Blade Runner. Like, he kind of aligned, like, calling the bar tech noir. He wanted the film to be a tech noir film. Yeah. And I love it. I love it so much. That start is one of my favorite. You don't get credit sequences like that anymore. We will never get credit sequences like that anymore because the time is already ticking. Audiences now are sitting with phones in their hands.
Yeah, true.
So you're not going to have moments where you have a beautiful score like that, which we'll get to the score, but where it's letting you're letting the score wash over you and it's getting you set up for what's about to happen.
It really feels great the way that you just settle into this film. Yeah.
So from that start, we get a look at the infamous future where Skynet has taken over, where it's man versus machine.
Yeah, a really bleak representation of post-apocalyptic world. It's great because it feels really kind of worthless. Like it's a great indication of a losing battle.
There's no living in this world. No. It's just surviving.
The representations of it are depressing. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like there's much worth fighting for in it either. Like, I look at that scene where
because they're being hunted. Like that's the only reason.
But the scene where Kyle Reese is remembering how the photo burns. And there's people all just hanging around in the what I assume is just it's not just a military base. It feels like it's a hideout of some description. And, like those two kids that are huddled around the TV set and they flip the shot and you can see it's because there's a fire in
the TV set. And they're actually keeping warm. They're not watching anything.
There's not a lot of humanity left to fight for. So it gives us this really grim outlook that then makes you question just their drive to actually succeed, because what are they fighting for? Like, really nothing. It's bare bones humanity that they're struggling for, and that kind of makes it really, you feel their cause so much more because they really don't have anything left except the chance to possibly rebuild.
Which is why it was such a smack in the face when we saw Terminator Salvation, because you were like, well, these people are clearly living and it's okay and they're all right and danger isn't imminent. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, and like
it was like, oh, this is just Mad Max.
Yeah, it was such a functional version of that war. Whereas it's the way it's depicted here is that it is like, excuse me, they're well and truly on their last legs, and like the way that Kyle Reese just finds like a corner of a hallway to sit down and shut his eyes for 2 seconds. Yeah. He's not getting changed. He's not having a shower.
No
He's not going to have a
showers.
talk with anybody. No. He literally just needs to shut his eyes, give me 10 minutes. Yeah. Someone give me 10, and he doesn't get his 10 minutes. He's right back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea of that is so much more interesting to me than what we got in Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, me too.
Where it's like where they just present it as you kind of not run of the mill, but basic warfare.
Yeah.
Like you had your area where you can have meetings and maps.
They have our base, we have our camp.
Let's sit and have some supplies for a little bit. And it's like, no, the way it's being presented is it is like legit desperation.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones, like especially looking at Salvation and then going to Terminator 1. You remember the scene where they're just, he's with his teammate or partner, whatever.
Yep.
That female gunner. And she's following around, and they jump down a thing, and there's people just hiding. You see their faces, and they're just hiding. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're just hiding there. Like, you're not... This is not a place to hide out. This is just in the middle of the war zone. You're just staying there until maybe it blows over, or maybe they go away, or we win, or something like that.
No.
Like, it's nothing.
No, it's not... Yeah, it's not two sides on equal footing fighting a long-lasting war.
No.
It is... One side is on the brink of extermination, and... like they are hanging on by the smallest of threads.
Yeah.
And I suppose they do talk about that as well, in the sense that John Connor was able to turn that around, teach them to fight.
Mm-hmm.
But at that stage in the movie, John Connor exists.
Yeah.
Because
which I don't think that we see in Terminator
we don't see
1.
him in
you
this
see it in Terminator 2, where people are saluting him as he's walking up and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. And we get that badass version of John Connor where he's just standing with all those scars on his face.
And it just starts burning, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that is fucking rad, man.
Yeah, so really great vision of the future. Love it. The special effects are all great.
Oh, they still hold up. The
Yeah,
miniatures,
they still really,
all of that.
Because it just looks really like
Tangible.
the metal
Yeah.
looks like metal.
The skulls look like skulls.
It doesn't look like CGI metal, which for some reason metal is really hard to pull off in CGI.
Yeah, just look at Terminator. Just look at
Transformers, yeah. I would say that some of the Transformers moments you look at and you go, well, that's pretty impressive. But
I'm not saying it's not impressive. I'm saying it's not real.
No,
It's not,
it takes a lot for you to suspend disbelief with that stuff. Whereas these crafts and things, you see them flying around, and you're just like, yeah, that's there. That's well and truly there.
Yeah.
And
the sound of the whole, like,
that constant,
yeah, and with the score in the background, and you're like, fucking run, just run, like, oh, it's so good,
intense,
so good.
I really like the future scenes in this film so much more than anything else that we ever got, and it's enough. That's all we ever needed. I know there's that idea that yes, we want to see the war, but do we?
No,
I don't think we need to.
Oh, you don't really need. You get enough.
Yeah,
you get enough.
I think the idea of like an actual Terminator war movie sounds good on paper, but Salvation is probably the best version of that we could get, and it's not a good movie by any stretch.
No. It's not going to be as poignant as those scenes, especially because, and the note that I wrote, because I love the flashbacks so much, is that flash forwards, yeah, good point. All that James Cameron is showing us is just a snippet of what it was like. It's got nothing to do with the throwback. You see Reese, but it doesn't have a link. It's not like him. You have the photo, sure,
yeah,
but it's not like you get, like, if they did that now, it would be a small short story that we would get in the middle of the film, like, oh, I like that bit. Remember that bit?
Yeah.
You know, you see him, like you said, chill out for 10 seconds, and then that's it. The other one that I love is when he is hotwired the car.
Yeah.
And the guys are doing factory work late at night. And I reckon it's because of the sounds that he's hearing while he's asleep. He goes back into
it's like a PTSD kind of style thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all you get is him just having a dream of what it was, and then he wakes up and he's like, okay, fuck, I got a mission to do. Let's get on with it.
Yeah.
You know.
I really like that one. That's
my favorite.
The transition into that is fantastic. The way they use the tractor treads, and you kind of you don't
how good is that?
Click that it's actually gone into the future until it pans down and you see all the skulls.
How
I think
good
it's fantastic, and I really like him getting jolted back to reality because of the injuries that he's suffering in his nightmare.
And the same sounds, like the drill that they're using, is the same, or almost the same sounds as the massive machines.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you could probably go deeper into this and talk about the symbolism of our mechanical age, kind of, and how much influence we put into our robotics and things like that, and how useless we would be without them.
Take over
and blah blah blah. There's probably a bit of that there in that comparison as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome.
That's the thing. You can write a thesis on Terminator.
People have, my man,
and we'd listen to it. That's fine. But that's what this podcast is about. This podcast is about. Let's talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You know what? How have we gone this long without even mentioning the
Arnold
great man
Schwarzenegger? Was this your first Arnie? What was your first Arnie movie?
No, because I saw T2 before I saw the Terminator.
Oh!
Yeah, so as a kid, I was all about Terminator 2.
What did I
Terminator
watch?
1 came to me actually relatively late in my life.
Oh!
Like, I'd seen parts of it, but I think I actually remember. I have a memory of actually sitting down and watching the Terminator back to front for the first time, and I think I was probably 16 or 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's still okay. You were at the video store.
No, I wasn't there yet.
The video store?
No,
oh, you
might have been not until video store day.
That's prime time because we worked at the video store. Those times where we didn't, it was such a lovely to go in and just go, oh, what am I going to get?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I still loved it even when I was working there. I never got sick of being in that place. Never made me feel like I was at... I mean,
work?
Other parts of it made me feel like I was at work. No. But if I ever got sick of the workness of it, I'd just be like, I'm going to go clean some shelves.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to alphabetize horror.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Clean shelves, alphabetize, whatever it is. And you'd just disappear for an hour.
Exactly.
And you'd feel... And yeah, you'd come up and serve customers and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. But you'd get to just read the backs of VHS and DVDs.
Or see ones that you hadn't seen. You're like, what is this? What is this?
Anyway.
This is called The Fly. That looks fucked up.
We've got it. Yeah, exactly. We've got to stop talking about this because people are just like, get over it, guys.
No, never.
The time has passed.
Never.
What are we talking about?
Arnie. Yeah.
The Great Man. So, yeah, I did see T2 first.
Okay.
As far as, like, the first of these older movies, I think I probably saw Conan before this as well.
Yeah, I think I saw Conan as well. I think my first was Predator, actually.
Oh, you know what? Predator.
I think Predator was my first.
Or, like, Commando, maybe, even?
No,
I just used to watch... As a kid, I just watched Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. It was like, if an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie was on, I watched it.
Exactly.
But for some reason, yeah... Do you know what I mean? It could have even been, like, Kindergarten Cop. For some reason... the first Terminator kind of eluded me. Maybe because as a kid, I had the belief that it was probably too scary for me. I maybe assumed
Terminator?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I think I probably had the awareness that it was more of a horror movie
it's a bit more
than
of an adult
Terminator 2.
Movie. Yeah.
Terminator 2, yes, has horror elements to it and sci-fi elements to it. But for me, it feels much more like an adventure film.
Yeah.
With sci-fi and horror elements to it.
But Terminator 1 was like they had no idea it was going to be this massive. So Terminator 2, when it hit, was a phenomenon. Like it was.
Huge. Absolutely. Well, you got the Guns N' Roses
everywhere.
You've got video game tie-ins. You've got all this kind of stuff. So it felt more like an event that all ages could enjoy. Even though there's swear words, there's violence, there's all that stuff. But that was the era where kids would watch that stuff and just be like, "Yay!"
Exactly. I remember it clearly, and this is hell of a throwback for people who actually remember this. I remember watching Hey Dad.
Oh, yeah.
And them mentioning, what are you going to see?
Speaking of scumbags.
Yeah, I know, massive scumbag. And the kid on there was like, what are you going to go see? And he was like, I'm going to see Terminator 2, Judgment Day. And the
Nudge.
joke...
Was that Nudge?
No, that was the young kid. Yeah. Nudge. God damn it. What a horrible fucking show. What a horrible show.
Oh,
anyway, the kid's joke was the fact that he kept saying Judgment Day. I'm like, yeah, that's the
hilarious
name of the movie. Fucking jerks.
So, yeah, I came to it a bit late, but since watching it, I never dethroned Terminator 2 as my favourite of the two. It will never change. Terminator 2 is legitimately in my top 5 favourite movies of all time.
Oof. That is bold.
No, it's not bold.
Bold.
I don't think there's nothing bold about that statement. That movie is action movie perfection.
That is okay. I'll say that is
so. But this does in different viewings. Sometimes I have that moment where I'm like, "Oh, it might be as good," and then other times I'm like, "Nah, it's not."
No,
as good.
You can't. No.
And this recent viewing was it's definitely not as good, but I still think it is exceptional.
So Terminator 2 is a 10 out of 10.
Yes,
and Terminator 1 is like a 9.
Terminator 1's a 9. I rated a 9 on my letterbox comfortable. I think it. Yeah, I think it does so much stuff right.
Saw that. Really?
I did it pretty late. I only did it this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I'd forgotten to do it. Yeah, so
it's definitely up there.
And
it's
as far as Arnold Schwarzenegger
close.
Vehicles goes, it's iconic for him. It is the
massive, man.
But because I knew the one-liners before I'd even seen the movie, we all knew "I'll be back."
Yep.
Is that the only one in this movie? Why don't I think there's another one?
No, there's nothing.
No, it's just "I'll be back." Yeah,
it's that and Sarah Connor. Yes,
Sarah Connor. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I knew about the iconicness.
Iconic moments. Yeah. No, the iconic moments that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is the "I'll be back," and then the scene in the truck at the end when he comes out of the
as the exoskeleton.
The actual exoskeleton. Yeah.
And no, it's not an exoskeleton because it's on the inside. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was trying to rack my brain for what he, because I'm pretty sure they mention it somewhere in something. But yeah.
Metallic skeleton with, I don't know.
No, I'm thinking of he's a metipali alloy. What does that mean? Liquid metal. That's the line that I was thinking.
God, I'm struggling to maintain our train of thought tonight.
I know.
Why is that? It's pretty late. Maybe that's what it is.
That's all right. Going from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We're not finished with Schwarzenegger.
No, we're
surely.
not. We'll come back to that. We can come back. I was going to say we get an introduction to Sarah Connor. Now, this is full. I love this because it's such a switch from, because we get futuristic, just hell. And then you go from that into, this is an 80s film. And you're like, oh, this is lovely.
Yeah, the mundanity of a diner job. And with a wicked 80s perm.
Yeah, man. And a friend that is annoying.
Yeah,
and
the typical 80s.
And just
like
everyone is smoking. And it's just great.
Those cops, Lance Henriksen and the other guy.
Yeah.
I love the bit where he's got a cigarette.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Give me a cigarette, will you?"
Yeah.
Gives him the packet and he goes, "Take it out with his hand." He's like,
"Oh,
it's like there's not enough cigarettes in the world." It's
good.
just constantly just like, "Yep, finish one, light another one."
I love it. But yeah, going from that, like you get the very young Sarah Connor. She's doing a thing.
Yeah. Linda Hamilton, who was like not that young when they filmed though.
No.
Late 20s.
She was.
Playing a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
She pulls it off. She looks convincingly.
Yeah, man.
I would have said early 20s if I didn't already know that she's 19.
Yeah. But yeah, she looks young.
Yeah, she does, and she has a real sense of innocence to her, and she pulls that off really nicely. She never feels too worldly, and when you get that transition, obviously between this and Terminator 2, it's really remarkable the progression of her character.
Yeah.
Because you just wouldn't assume that they're even close in the same ballpark of being the same person.
No.
But I think it's believable, though, because even the progression from the start of this movie to the end of this movie...
You see the arc, yeah.
You do see like a lot of growth, a lot of maturity, a lot of awareness seep into her character until by the end you're just like... Because, excuse me, the way that Kyle Reese kind of becomes useless towards the end... his injuries are...
He really does, doesn't he?
He's suffered too many injuries that he's not really capable anymore, and she has to almost look after him and save him. You can see that capability of her in that.
Yeah.
I love Linda Hamilton as well.
I love Linda Hamilton.
She's
I love
so good.
Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn?
Man. He wears those homeless pants all the way through this movie.
So
I didn't realise
I did mention that in my notes.
What the fuck?
Wash those pants, man.
No, get them off.
Or just get rid of them.
Full Starkers.
Well, then, like he went to that...
Free-ball it into the future.
Picked up those sweet Nikes.
Yeah.
Grab a pair of tracksuit pants, my man. Like, I'm sorry, but
some
homeless
fucking
dudes...
rad black denim on you. Like, what are you doing with those disgusting pants?
Who knows what he's done in the... I know exactly what he's done in those pants. If you can think of a discharge from that area, he's done all of them in those pants.
Jesus, the word discharge just came up.
Yes. Look at the Nick Tys and Videotape, ladies and gentlemen.
Fuck.
And he's just chilling in those pants
the whole way through this.
And then they had sex.
I know, that's nasty. That's full nasty. I don't like.
I don't think he did. He shower?
He did.
He showered and put those homeless man pants back on.
He did. Yeah.
Why, you're wasting a shower?
Come on. Don't put those fucking bum pants back on. Bum's pants. Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
Before we get too far, a little bit further in, why are the cops on him like that? We're not talking just one cop car either. We're talking a lot of cops.
No, I always thought it was the lightning. Lightning causes and they call for backup pretty quickly.
Okay. He calls for backup pretty quickly because Kyle grabs his gun.
No, because when the car comes up, he's like, "Hey, you there? Don't they call for more units or something?"
Yeah. So why? He's just a dude.
He looks sus. Came out of a lightning ball.
He did come out of a lightning ball, but I'm pretty sure they didn't see that.
Yeah, they probably didn't see that.
And he did steal the homeless man's pants.
And that is a capital offense.
Yeah.
Do some serious time.
I just thought that the cops get in really
No, you're right.
fast.
They do. And I think as soon as he takes the gun, it becomes like, let's get everyone in on this one.
Do you know that both Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 both start with a truck? Do you realize that? I didn't realize that. That's great.
And I'd have to rewatch it because I did actually watch a little comparison thing on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Of the Terminator 1 scenes in Terminator Genesis.
Genesis?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
because there are little scenes that or little things that he does that are in Terminator 1 that he repeats in Terminator 2. Just how Arnie spins the bike on one wheel, he takes off.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Well, yeah, I mean...
But what were you talking about in Genesis?
The way that they... Because of that moment where they do go back and basically replay the events, I was really fascinated to see just how, like, exactly the same they copy those shots.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting.
Nice.
When I watched it, I thought it was just suggesting it. And the settings were the same and, you know, the same events happened.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was like, it wasn't like shot-for-shot remake. It's practically shot-for-shot.
Really?
It's really interesting, yeah. With obviously some different timing issues and things like that. So the YouTube video I was watching, I should probably put a link into it without claiming someone else's work. It would go black sometimes on certain shots to allow the other shot to kind of catch up or and then it would bring them back in a little bit.
I like it.
Yeah, really, really fascinating. And made me kind of... I mean, we've talked about this. I don't think Genesis is the terrible film that it got lumped. The title got lumped with. I think it's quite a good time. It's no Mick G's. That's Salvation.
Yeah, I'm saying that Genesis isn't as bad as...
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Salvation is well and truly the doldrums of this series. Genesis is just a fun sci-fi action
I've seen
movie.
it. I couldn't tell you anything.
Yeah. I don't hate it, and I think it had a lot of balls to do what it did.
Awesome.
With all the flashback stuff. And it's actually really very interesting to watch them side by side. But yeah, I do like the introduction of Arnie a lot. I think that is... In
Terminator 1 you're talking about?
God, it's so strong.
Yeah, man.
He is immediately threatening.
Yeah, and he's... Naked is normally vulnerable.
Yeah.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger naked at a point of Mr. Olympic is not.
Not at all. Not at all. And those guys, when they're like joking about him, you know,
Bill Paxton, man.
Bill Paxton and Brian Thompson.
Yeah.
Cobra.
Wash day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nothing clean, right?
You usually would be like, oh yeah, ha ha ha, he's naked.
Yeah.
You are immediately like...
You're like, you guys are fucked.
You guys are fucked.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I was trying to remember in my head, and I don't know if it's true. It's a hard thing to rationalize because you can't put yourself into that position. But when watching this for the first time, the very first time...
Oh, sure.
Do you reckon you'd feel that threat, or are we only feeling it because we're aware of his power as a character since we've seen it 100 times?
No, you were even aware of it even before. Like, I'm pretty sure... that when you saw your first Terminator movie, you knew what the Terminator could do. How strong he is and how invulnerable, like how invincible he is, sort of thing.
But until that moment, until he tears out that dude's heart, Brian Thompson's heart.
Literally.
We don't know, though, do we?
No, you don't know how vicious he is.
We don't know if he's going to be, like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? You know, and to be quite honest, even at that point, it's kind of, it's a bit up in the air.
Is he good or bad?
Not that is he good or bad. Just how villainous he's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Because really, they tried to stab him. All he did was ask for some clothes. The dude's naked.
Yeah, but you don't just tear people's fucking hearts out.
No, but he might not know how. He might not know any different. He might not know his own strength. He might have just gone to pick him up and throw him like he did Bill Paxton, and he accidentally
pulled his
right
fucking
through.
heart out.
Who knows?
Really don't. I think that's a reach, to be honest.
It is a reach. You're right.
I like it though.
Right into his chest
Right
cavity.
into his chest cavity. I love, even though we're not doing it, I have to mention, because it's one of my favourite scenes, like the fact that he does the give me your clothes, like going from that scene to give me your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, that scene in Terminator 2 is iconic.
Oh,
I
yeah.
fucking love
100%.
that scene.
Should we just be talking about Terminator 2?
No, we definitely should, because we're going to do that eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like this costume for half this movie.
Really?
No, I'm
it's
so
better
much
than
happier.
Bum pants.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Kyle Reese's bum pants. They're terrible. Whatever that shirt is.
No,
that
I
he's
love
wearing.
it.
I like his jacket.
It's the shirt. It's the fingerless gloves, and his jacket's got a little bit of a chain, but not too much. I love the t-shirt. The t-shirt says it is full 80s.
Yeah, it is, and that's my problem. I am waiting, and I'm counting down the minutes till he's in the typical Terminator outfit for the police station massacre.
No,
I can't take him seriously.
You can't get behind it.
Really?
No,
and because he's also got really kind of not great hair either.
Yeah, his hair is horrible. It's horrible 80s hair.
Yeah, it's like parted at the side. It's like a tight back and sides for a little while.
But not. It's gone boof, and you're like,
no, it goes boof.
Like you need
after because it gets burnt, and that's why it goes weird kind of like 80s flat toppy kind of thing. I like that haircut so much more than I think.
Really?
I think the character design just gets better as the movie goes on. I think everything. Right. I think up to that point, I feel like his character design is a bit all over the shop.
Okay.
And then put the leather jacket on him, the sunnies, the short kind of messed up hair.
Yeah.
Then it's
you
like,
can tell he's
a
little bit fucked up under the glasses, and then you're like, yeah, okay.
He's got no eyebrows, which is so terrifying to look at. I think that's what makes him so terrifying is that he has no eyebrows.
Yeah.
And when he's in the cop car scanning around, and when he looks suddenly and kind of opens his eyes and there's no eyebrows there, it's extra unsettling.
I remember that scene.
Yeah,
that is quite unsettling.
Yeah. We skipped over Michael Biehn, and I want to go back to him because he's the best. He's
okay. Can I interrupt for one second? So in talking about this. I work with a guy named Kyle.
Biehn.
No, Kyle.
Yeah, nice.
He was named. His mum named him after Kyle Reese. This Kyle at my work has met another gentleman named Kyle. He was also named after Kyle Reese.
So you're suggesting that all Kyles born post 1984 might be named after Kyle Reese?
Just saying.
I hope you're right.
Two guys met. They were both named after Michael Biehn's character.
Well, what other
Terminator.
Kyle are you naming your kid after?
Sanderlands?
McLaughlin? I'm out. That's it.
I got nothing.
No. Well, that's badass.
Yeah. But Michael Biehn, dude.
He's the best.
How good is he?
Yeah. He's one of those guys that I just don't understand how he's not a huge movie star.
Right? Like, legit, how?
I don't get it.
Do you know what I love about
good.
his character in this? Is that he goes from... We get a glimpse of him... You don't really know what's going on. He's stolen a bum's pants, which is fucked. And then all of a sudden from there, like when he sees Sarah, he goes from literally a 2 to an 11.
Yeah.
And he rides that 11 up until they have to bunker down in that little spot before morning comes and he's been shot. Like he drives those scenes so well because of his energy and just coming out at it like, do exactly what I said. Like he's doing it so he's dialing it up to 9 and he's just giving it all and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm in it and do you know why I've mentioned that? Is because I've seen this movie so many fucking times and he still gets me. I'm still on that ride.
100%.
You know.
I think he's a big reason why we sympathise for Sarah Connor as well. Yeah. Is because he makes the desperation to save her life so we are able to empathize with his desperation so much that we want the success. We want her to survive too.
And I think it's also because of how strong he's talking about it. Even though we because coming at it from her side, this guy's a nutter.
Yeah,
this guy is a full nutter.
It does take us a while as an audience, I think, to warm to Sarah Connor because. Not in the sense that we don't think she's a nice person, in the sense that it takes her a while to actually buy into everything. So we as an audience aren't she's not on our level yet. We know it's true.
Yeah.
And we want her to come around, but until the police station scene.
And without his performance of what it's like, what we have to do, what our mission is and how desperate we are, you're not gonna believe any of it. Like any of it. He could just be a nutter. And those flashbacks could be his, brain just doing tricks on him.
And one thing that I think this movie didn't miss an opportunity, but there's another movie out there in a parallel dimension where they make more of the psychological is it the ramblings of a crazy man, or is it true?
Yeah.
Because I really like how
it's Terminator 8.
Yeah, exactly.
2025.
I really like how Silverman is when he's explaining that everything about it is so perfectly constructed because there can be no proof.
Yeah.
And I find that I think that's fascinating. That story that he's telling about the time travel stuff. It's like, yeah, it is. You're right. There's another movie in this somewhere. Is it real or is it just the ramblings of a crazy person? Because I can't bring anything back from the future because it's only this.
Yeah. No machines will go through.
Yeah. So I have no proof of the time.
Yeah.
The all that stuff where it's like because it hasn't happened yet. But this hasn't happened yet, but it will. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I find that really fascinating. And he sells that really well, Michael Biehn as well.
That scene in the why am I talking to you? That scene, yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's good. He's a loon.
Do you know what he also does really well? He sells pain really well.
Yeah.
When
Those
he gets
quiet moments.
hurt.
Oh, you're talking about physical pain.
Yeah, no, not emotional pain.
Yeah.
He's a great physical hurt actor.
What injury are you talking about?
The one it's specifically the one where he lands out of the thing.
Oh, when he lands, when you first see him, yeah.
And
Shit,
that looks like a stuntman. But when
that looks like it hurts.
Flips back to him and he does this thing where he's like,
yeah.
I'm like, that's great.
Yeah. Like
I buy that 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's great.
Then you have to steal a bum's pants. That's fucked up.
No.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, poor guy. Cool shoes though.
That's
I
true.
want those fucking shoes.
Those Nikes?
The Nikes, yeah.
Yeah, man.
I would love a pair of those. Listeners,
get
my
Tys.
birthday is coming up. Just so you know.
What was I going to say? Oh, can I just say, if that bar existed,
Tech Noir,
I would go to that bar.
Do you know what? With a name like Tech Noir, I would think that I wouldn't like it. They're playing some rad music.
I love those music. And do you know why I've never downloaded it? Because I love it. I can't take it away from watching Terminator 1.
Yeah. I don't need to know much more about that music.
No.
Except that,
it exists in Terminator
So
1.
maybe I would have been those people in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought, no, I wouldn't have been those people.
Really?
But that's a great tune.
Yeah.
That's my kind of jam.
You got me burning. I fucking love that song.
And they all look like they're having a good time.
They're having a blast, man. They're having a blast. Yeah. James Cameron, do you know what's funny? James Cameron made that bar, and people started lining up out the front because they thought it was an actual bar.
Because it looks pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool inside. It's still there. It is now a jewelry store, though.
Yeah. Is it still called Tech Noir, though?
That is fucking sad. No, it is not.
Yeah. They should have kept the name. And the neon sign.
The neon sign. If you have that neon sign, give that to me.
Oh, my God.
Give that
Could you
to
imagine?
me.
I'm going to
Jesus
make one.
Christ. That'd be so good. This is an introduction which I didn't realize was my first because I looked it up because I'm a big fan of his. Is Stan Winston. So
of course.
Stan Winston is the reason that we love these movies, especially going from this. He did this to Aliens to all the way up to the last thing that he did was the Iron Man suit. But the makeup and just the animatronics that he did for the Terminator, it is beyond realistic, this thing. Apart from the little Arnold Schwarzenegger animatronic that's just a little off, but it's not a little off that it's bad.
It's not terrible. But what frustrates me is I don't know why they just didn't use the great makeup that they have later. Like,
the one in the truck?
Yeah. Why didn't they just start to apply that with the eye so they could do the eye shot and then do the rest and film that shot? Like, it's strange because the dummy is not fantastic. You can even see the wig line of the dummy, which is one of those things where they...
to me. The skin looks fake.
This is when we start to get into an era where filmmakers of the 80s were unaware of just how high a resolution we'd be able to get now.
Exactly.
And so they allowed certain things to float through because they're like, well, no, you're not going to be able to see that.
You're looking at this on a VHS.
Yeah,
like, if you go back and look at this on VHS,
even at cinema, like we're not 4K restoring, stuff now, so we can't see every single pore of people's skins.
Exactly.
So now we're in a point where that gets exposed a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I don't like the dummy too much. I'll be honest. The
pop in the eye.
Yeah,
I love that scene.
I find it. I think it's got a really nice novelty to it because it's representative of an era of filmmaking where that kind of creativity was running rampant, and I love that.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. it doesn't work for me. It takes me out of it a little bit.
Oh, okay. I love it because it's so dark. Like, why are we showing this? Like, we're showing a Terminator do his little thing when it'd be quite different. We wouldn't be normally seeing what the villain is up to.
Sure.
We'd be solely following the protagonist. Like,
yeah, well, I think it's a nice touch to just demonstrate the efficiency of the Terminator. Yeah. That ability to sit down and go, okay, well, I'm a little bit broken here, and here, and let's fix this and this and this, and the cold kind of calculator way it just goes about it and just goes, okay, and
done.
Back to where we are.
Go. Yeah.
Let's go murder this person. So it works for that. I think the score helps a lot to create that kind of tense atmosphere around it. It's not even really score at that point. It's kind of just like sound effecty things and. It's not really theme based, which a lot of this score really isn't, to be honest. A lot of this score is like metallic sounds and cool grooves, and
you'll get that low do 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 do, but you rarely get
which
it.
is a beautiful theme. Yeah. My God, is that a stunning theme?
How good is that? Theme?
It's so simple, but I adore it. And then the chase music is great, but then the actual just the mood. Kind of creepy mood stuff is just it's weird, like metallic hitting things and just low hums of synthesizers, and I like all that kind of stuff. I think it's great.
I love it.
Very effective.
Man. That's why the Stranger Things fucking title sequence, when I first watched it, I was like, holy shit!
I mean, that's a great piece of of knockoff, knockoffs.
And that's what they were trying to do. No, they were actually trying to. I watched a thing on it the other day. They were actually trying to. Do you remember? You would know. Stephen King's The Dead Zone. Do you remember that title?
Sure.
That's what Stranger Things wanted to do.
Right, sure.
They wanted to do The Dead Zone.
No, fair enough.
Yeah. What do you got? Stan Winston. God, that was good. How good is that truck fucking makeup? Jesus,
that's when I think he looks the best.
That is full on, man.
I honestly think that's when it's the best. That's the best version of the Terminator for me. That half fucked up version after the truck.
So
he's
good.
The scariest. Like that bit's intense. That's so scary.
That is.
And they just kind of, I don't know if they like light him from underneath or something, but he just looks so much more like, oh
petrified,
God.
Do you know why that scene is scary? For me, and following into, because I remember when I first watched this being petrified of the skeleton kind of getting faster. That scene is still quite petrifying. No, it was the fact that we're watching the Terminator get up from Sarah's perspective on the highway, which is on the other side. So she's watching him and she's not moving. So I feel like, well, why aren't you moving? Because we're kind of stuck in this. We're a little bit petrified. We don't really know what to do. We can't move. Oh my God, he's coming. Sort of thing. I'm like, why aren't you moving? Why aren't you moving? Why aren't you moving? Come on, And I think that's why it adds another level of scariness to it. And then he gets in the truck and you're like, take a look at what I look like, by the way. And I'm like, shit.
I like that a trick that he uses a lot, I think, is the distance between the two of them. So he puts it actually in the single frame so that we get a really good idea of just how close he is to them.
Yeah.
And not at times where they're just really close to each other either. Like that shot that you're talking about, I find that shot really, really scary because...
You're talking about the walk?
No, just him.
Oh, him in the truck.
It's just behind... The point of view is just behind them in the trashed car, and he gets up on the other side of the freeway.
Yeah.
And
he drops the guy.
Yeah. So you just get an idea that it's far enough away that if you move right that second, you've got a chance, but he's close enough that he can just come bounding towards you at any second.
Yeah.
And I think that's scarier than like him being right there and you're chasing him. You know what I mean?
Having to deal with
there's
him
that because there's that time. There's that little bit of time where you'll actually contemplate your existence.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it kind of worse.
Move.
It's not just like a sudden, oh, he's there and you're dead.
Yeah.
You'd have to watch.
No, it's a linger.
It's
a linger. You're watching him come.
If you were trapped in that car and you just had to watch him.
Exactly. Which he is because Reese is out cold.
Unconscious, yeah. I think he does that a lot in this movie. Just gives you the space. How much space is there actually between the two of them, and how close to him getting you is he? And I find that really effective. Yeah.
So good.
So is it weird how There's 1 minute. There's one moment in this movie that I don't like Sarah Connor in. And I think it's really silly that it's included in the movie. Is when she.
Okay.
Do you want to try and guess?
Let me think.
Okay.
When is it around?
It's
Beginning,
late in the
middle,
movie.
end? Late end.
Yeah.
We're talking about an end?
Nah, just prior to the end. Yeah.
No, I've got nothing.
Think fast and throws a bag full of explosives.
Oh, come on. They just had sex.
I don't care. That is... it's a terrible moment because it's meant to be like endearing. You're meant to be like, oh, cool, they're just trying to have a light moment. It's a bag full of explosives.
It is a bag full of pipe
bombs.
bombs.
That's the gag you play with like an apple. You know what I mean? Or you're throwing, when
think
someone's...
fast.
Yeah, you're like, hey, think fast. And it's like, oh, yeah, I
Or
just
you
got
just
it.
chuck like
Not a bag full of explosives.
Oh, come on.
What are you doing?
They just had sex. It's all fun and games.
I just had sex.
Exactly. And then they hear the dog. Shit, he's here.
Yeah, I like the scene prior to the sex scene. I think it's really nice.
I think it's a good scene. I think he does really
well because technically you could, I don't know, if that scene is delivered poorly, you just end up sounding like a crazy freak. Yeah. But he juggles it really nicely, and the way that he didn't want to tell her, and you can see that he's juggled with that idea. He's like,
this is weird for me.
Because he doesn't understand it. He's like, how can I be in love with someone from a picture?
Yeah.
And then meet you, and I'm like, no, I do love you. It's so,
And yet your son is my boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Who I know as an old man, and
and it's even more strange because he doesn't believe that he's the father. He doesn't have that part of the information.
Yeah.
So he's in love with somebody that he thinks the fate of the universe depends on the fact that she loves somebody else.
Yeah.
In order to have that kid. So there's a lot of stuff going on in that I think he handles really well.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice response. The two of them, I think, are really quite kind of electric in that scene.
They do.
Even though it's a typical 80s sex scene, just missing a sax solo, really.
Exactly. It's a very Lethal Weapon 1.
Yeah.
Very Lethal Weapon 1.
Yeah, nice.
What is the syndrome where when you are captured by someone...
Stockholm Syndrome.
Okay. Is there I don't know what the word is for it. Is there a thing for maybe that this is happening
this
to
is the
Sarah
other
Connor?
movie I'm telling you about,
seriously.
man. There is a movie in a parallel universe where at the end of the movie you find out that the Kyle Reese was just mentally unsound.
Yeah. And he kidnapped this woman, and she has fallen in love with him only because she's spent this so much time
Exactly.
with him.
Exactly. There is that movie exists somewhere. And it's a movie worth exploring because... Like I said, everything in this movie is structured around the idea. Aside from the what we see of the Terminator, if you removed what we see of the Terminator, right, and we took it 100% from the point of view of Sarah Connor, that ending of the ending of that film could ultimately be, oh no, he was crazy the whole time, and it was a PCP junkie.
Yeah. No, it's a man in a white coat who's actually undercover, and he's trying to get him. Bruce, you have to come with me, mate. Come on, we have to go back to the hospital. Come on.
Oh no, because he definitely killed some dudes. But it's no future wars. No. Your kid's not going to do anything. There's no time travel. It is just what the cops assume it is.
I would see that movie.
Well, because that movie's kind of much more depressing, though.
No,
it would end up really sad at the end. Just like,
oh fuck!
Yeah.
No.
It reminds me of that movie Take Shelter. Have you seen that movie Take Shelter? It's like it's a Jeff Nichols film. And Michael Shannon plays a dude who has visions of the end of the world, of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Except no one's really certain whether or not he's actually just...
Oh, really? Just a nutter?
Yeah, mentally unsound.
Okay.
Or is he actually like this generation's version of a prophet?
You wouldn't know.
Exactly.
Like you wouldn't know.
It kind of, that's what it's trying to say, is that we actually don't know.
No.
Like, and it's very interesting, and it just made me think of that while I was some of the stuff with Silverman when I was watching it. I was like, that kind of reminds me of this.
Yeah. Do you think? I wrote this down. Do you think by today's standard that this storyline is a little thin? Like as far as action movies go, this wouldn't get made anymore.
No, because it's not necessarily
thin.
plot driven. This film, it's action. It's action driven. I don't mean like action as in like
action pieces.
Action. I mean like the concept of action in film. It's about A to B to C to D. It's not about the plot so much, or the story. The plot is plot based heavily, but it's not story based, because it's a narrative conceit in the sense that time travel, we got to save this person, and that's all it needs to be. Yeah. And it's not really until the second one that gets fully explored, because the time travel paradoxes in this don't really affect anything.
No.
It's only in the second one that we start to have that kind of where our mind explodes a little bit more. We even get that line at the end of the film where she's like, God, you could go crazy thinking about all this stuff. And I'm like, yes, you could.
Yeah.
And that's why this movie has chosen not to.
Not to pick
And, we've talked about this before. I like movies that basically just say, just go with it.
Yeah.
That don't try, because as soon as you start trying to explain your own time travel nonsense.
No. And you can't make it a time travel movie, because, yes, there's time travel in this movie, but I don't see it as a time travel film.
No, you're right. I don't see it that way either. It does have probably... I think this is one of the most familiar time travel paradoxes, though, that exist in film. I think this is the one that a lot of people go to as the example of a time travel paradox. The fact that if Kyle Reese wasn't sent back by his son, the son would never be born.
So how does that... even...
Yeah,
talking about it just goes in.
Exactly. So that's the I think it's probably the strongest example of time travel is bonkers, because you can say it in one sentence as well, which makes it really effective. Other times you have to explain all this other shit. It's as simple as that. How did that happen? And you can't explain that.
And then you've got red rope, and you don't know what's going on.
Exactly. You've got a whiteboard. We're all losing our minds. Chain smoking for 3 days straight.
This timeline skewed into this tangent.
Exactly.
Made it alternate 1985.
But I think it's good because they kind of left some nuggets. So it's...
Really?
I think it's a film that...
What nuggets?
In the sense that they did enough that if they ever wanted to make a sequel, if they weren't planning it,
that's
they
true.
knew that they had left enough little pieces of information in this screenplay that they would then be able to extract out.
Yeah.
It might have been a complete coincidence, but it's there.
Which is so funny now that I remember, when I first watched Terminator 2, and when they went into the safe, and the arm, when they grabbed the arm, I knew exactly where that arm was from. I was like, oh, holy shit. Of course.
Yeah.
Why didn't someone grab the arm? It was such a thing.
You don't really think about it at the time.
Yeah.
I also don't understand. Surely she must be on the run.
Yeah, she's on the lam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no way.
No. That's why she's going to
that
Mexico.
ambulance that they put her in is driving straight to the criminal hospital.
Yeah. Yeah,
because they're looking at all this shit and they're like, oh.
Yeah, because they've just seen an explosion, and then all of a sudden, in the same night, remember, a whole police station of cops have just died.
You're telling me that guy that we've got on camera shooting 30 police officers is that metal thing that we just found? No, you're coming with us.
Pretty sure we have some questions for you.
We have many questions.
Yeah.
Did they ever explain in Terminator 2 how she got caught?
Yeah.
And taken back?
She went back to that steel mill. She went back to where Terminator got crushed, and she got busted there.
Huh.
Yeah. Edward Furlong explains that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I couldn't think of it. I'm looking forward to watching Terminator 2 again.
She got busted. Remember? He says that?
Yeah.
She got busted. Edward Furlong. This is why everyone's excited for this next Terminator.
Did you?
Because you've got all three of them back.
Oh, yeah, because we're all so pumped for Edward Norton to be back.
We're pumped. And if you even slightly get some Robert Patrick in there, Jesus Christ.
Surely just a smidge.
Even just like a bystander. Hey, what's up? What's
as a cameo, it would be great. Yes, very good. This movie doesn't really hang into that whole, not just the time travel stuff, but the theology stuff, like that the fate is what you make stuff. That kind of, the path isn't set. It's really just that one statement from Kyle Reese. This feels like the idea that they could avoid the war entirely is pretty much completely disregarded in this film. Not even mentioned. It's 100% about survival
at this point.
At this point,
yeah.
Is it interesting? I find this really interesting that that's where this series went. That's the direction they decided to take this series, as opposed to it being like this for me is an example of taking a self-contained story and then expanding the universe out in the most effective way possible.
Yeah.
They found the best way to expand that story.
Yeah.
Because it really is so self-contained. Do you watch this movie now and try and remove what you know about number 2 from it?
Yes.
That's what I do too.
That's how I watch it. Because I don't want to think of... Because I know where it's going to go and I know what Sarah Connor becomes. So I try and look at it as a single thing. So in my head... Oh, no, because it's a... In my head, it's with... After Terminator 1, the machine war is inevitable and it's just going to happen anyway. Hence, a storm is coming. Like she says at the end, there's a storm coming in. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, she knows that the war is coming and but she's got the savior in her belly.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting is that without Terminator 2, we don't know the causes of those things. Yeah. So when we see the finale now and go, oh, that's actually how the Terminators came to be.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got to kind of remove that because otherwise you don't have a victory. There's no victory to be had in this movie. Yeah. And you kind of need it, I think, because you've got to feel that satisfaction.
Do you? Really?
I think it's really important based on everything they've gone through.
Yeah.
And like that, because like what I was saying before about the space.
Yeah.
This is a like this. They finally win with the hand around her throat. He has gotten her, but she just manages to win. Yeah, and this is a movie where it's all been about closing the gap between them, between the Terminator and her, not Kyle and her, obviously.
Yeah.
So don't you want some of that joy at the end of that and that moment of fuck yes, because that's what you would have felt in 1984.
I do. Would you have?
Yeah, you would have been like, yes, she won.
She is free.
She's
you
free.
do get a little bit of that moment at the end, but I feel like it's still foreboding. Like it's still coming. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the war is still coming. Yes, but
she gets a moment. She gets a moment of glory,
and she knows that she's learned that the war will end because of her son.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yes, there will be dark times, but you'll get through it. Whereas
no one else is going to interfere.
Now,
so she thinks that she's like, I've got my son, I'm going to raise him great, he's going to help the human race, and we're going to win against the machines because no other Terminator is going to come back through time.
No, exactly.
That's what she thinks.
And now, with the knowledge of number 2, we know that moment is actually the catalyst for the war in the first place because they took that technology and were able to harness it and use it and develop into what started the entirety of Skynet.
Yeah.
So now, because of our knowledge of that, we don't have a happy ending. Not even close to a happy. Well, personal. I guess for the character there is a little bit of.
Is there though? Like she just lost the father. It's quite sad, that ending, I feel.
Yeah, I do think it's important that they have the scene in the truck at the end. Like that dialogue is all really important in a Jeep. Sorry, and she's driving to Mexico.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because we get to
where
see
she's talking to John.
We get to see her clarity as a character, and she's obviously become this very resilient person, and she knows what she has to do, and I think
she's taking a step and things like that.
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah,
very good.
How good is that matte painting?
Oh, the end, the very last shot.
Oh, damn.
Beautiful. Lovely. I'd love to hang that on my wall.
Oh, it's a bit much. I need to keep it in Terminator because every time I see that last scene, I'm like, fucking look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Someone goes, "Are you ready to go to bed?" Nah.
How many? I don't know if this was the first, but I reckon I don't need a storm is coming metaphor ever again in my life.
Oh no, it begins and ends with Terminator 1. 100%. You can't do that ever.
That is one of the most overused,
cliched motherfuckers in the world.
Metaphors of all time.
There's a storm, and it's only good because it's in Espanol. What did he say? There's a storm coming in. Yeah, I know. Fucking decent movie, man. God damn it. Let's watch Terminator 1 again. I'm telling you.
I'm pretty keen to watch Terminator 2 again. It's probably been at least 4 or 5 years since I've seen it. So
I definitely am as well.
And you just picked up your 4K version of it, didn't you?
I'm going to watch that baby on my 4K.
Yeah.
Shit.
And I think that's why I ultimately come down on the side of Terminator 2 being a better movie for me, is that, yes, at the end of Terminator 1, I've enjoyed the experience, but
Terminator 2
it makes me want to watch Terminator 2. It doesn't make me sit there and go, okay, cool, I've had my Terminator fix for a while.
No, man,
I almost always have to follow 1 with 2 because I know where it's going and I love what 2 does so much.
How good is 2? There are so many moments, like stop moments in 2. From the arcade to the Guns N' Roses reference to the fucking hospital and all of that stuff in the hospital to the chases. It's just so good. Like, there are so many moments in Terminator 2.
Yeah, I conservative guess, I have seen Terminator 2 probably, like, conservatively, I'd say 60 to 70 times.
Shit.
Like, and that's, you know, I've seen this like 300 times. I'm not speaking with hyperbole at all.
Excuse me, Mr. Leg, I believe you've seen it 45,000 times.
No. So I reckon between 60 and 70 times, like, legitimately. Maybe more. I used to watch it all the time. All the time. We had a VHS of it, and I just used to put it on every weekend.
Yeah. When it came in my Danos Direct, it was the one that got played the most.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you need to say about Terminator 1, Nicholas?
Do you think that... I don't like the "I'll be back" catchphrase that Arnie has.
Oh, yeah,
throughout
sure.
his career. I've never liked it.
It's funny how that's the one that is taken from this movie because it's not really a huge moment. It's only an iconic moment because of how it spiraled out of this film. If you had to pick a moment from this movie, a piece of Arnold Schwarzenegger dialogue that would become iconic.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It'd be "fuck you, asshole."
Probably.
When he goes down to "Hey, buddy, you got a dead cat in there or what?" That's what me and my brother used to say. He through each other's bedroom doors.
Yeah, no.
We just knock on the door. "Hey, buddy, you got a dead cat in there or what?" "Fuck you, asshole."
Yeah, but I like it. I think it works. I think. Do you know what makes it work for me?
What?
It's the lean in.
Oh, it's the lean.
It's the look around. And the lean, I'll be back. It's just that moment. I think it works.
I'm not saying that Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the best actors in the world. I think he's a pretty good actor. But as far as portraying a cyborg, I think he does really well. I think there are moments in there, especially when he's in the car, where his eyes are following. Like, his eyes move and then his head follows. Little moments like that.
Yes, I agree.
You reminded me of it when you said the lean in, because it's very specific. "I'll be back," when he leans in.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you for also leaning in when you did that, Nicholas.
Yeah.
I needed the
You did.
the visual representation of it.
He did it so well.
He does do it really well. I was having that thought today when I was watching it, is that at what point is the emotion, the reactions that he's doing, at what point are they too much?
Oh, really?
And I don't think it ever gets there. There are times when I think it gets really close where you can see legitimate excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are times where he goes like, "Oh, that's her."
Shoots it. Yeah, that's
and
true.
kind of goes,
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, interesting. That's probably the most that we could get away with.
Yeah.
Because I really like for instance in the tech noir scene, I think it's someone kind of gets in his way, and there's a moment of frustration. Like he's about to walk towards Sarah Connor, and someone kind of dances in front. And you just see him kind of do "Oh, get out of here," like kind of thing to somebody,
really?
And I'm like, is that too much, or is that still like cybernetic organism kind of style acting, or is that part of the programming of the Terminator to make it more?
Well, he
effective?
has to be, like the fact that he makes himself more presentable to get past normal day human beings would be in his coding, I guess.
What do you think of the argument that it's silly to make a Terminator someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger because his size, the strength of of the robot is not dependent on his size of a human being.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be far more effective to make it someone who could actually be inconspicuous?
Yeah. Like Robert Patrick.
Like
I think
Robert Patrick?
I think that's why he was so fucking scary.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Especially
because he threw, like, you didn't think he was a threat until he started throwing around Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But it's a great counterbalance
Jesus!
because we had Mr. Olympic, and now we get this, like, basically a marathon runner kind of style physique.
Exactly.
But what if it was just like
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito as the Terminator.
As the Terminator.
Exactly.
It'd be weird.
It would be weird, and the movie would be nowhere near as much fun to watch. But I'm just saying, on a rational level, and what are we doing trying to rationalize these wonderful...
We're giving it a shot. We're like, well, what if this happens?
Exactly.
It's a what-if situation.
Someone like, who's the most boring actor, like, in the world?
That would be Hayden Christensen.
Okay. What? No, but someone that you look at and you're just like, if you walk down the street, I would recognize you because I know who you are.
Yeah.
But Joe Blow on the street, like... Greg Kinnear. What if the Terminator was Greg Kinnear?
I love Greg Kinnear.
Yeah, he's
How
great.
dare you?
But look at him.
That's true.
He looks like every dude ever.
He looks like every man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been
Greg Kinnear.
Because that way,
No,
he approaches you in slow-mo at Tech Noir.
It's not Greg Kinnear. It's Bill Pullman.
Oh.
If Bill Pullman walked the streets and then all of a sudden just picked up Arnold Schwarzenegger and threw him, like, he'd be like, yeah, okay.
Shit's about to go
whatever,
down.
Bill Pullman. Let's relax, mate.
What about in, like, Independence Day Resurgence where he's got that wicked old man beard, though?
I didn't
I'm
see
starting
it.
to believe that.
Should I watch it?
Nah, you're fine.
Ah!
I think it's going to wrap us up, Nick.
Tyson, that was the Terminator.
That was the Terminator.
How good is it?
I feel like we could have talked about that a lot more.
Me too, but I feel like we say this about every movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we run out of time. Because that's the kind
What
of
else
movie...
do you want to mention, though?
That's what I mean.
But that's the thing. We could go into heavy depth into this thing if we wanted to.
That's
But
what I
feel
mean.
like we wouldn't enjoy the talk.
What do you mean? I always enjoy.
No. I'm just saying that if we went into like thesis type style talking about how isn't this interesting to this and this to this, people would be like, yeah, you guys
Stop pulling your dicks.
I want to talk about some different stuff here.
Fair call. What's next?
I'm going to listen to some mean synth on the way home.
Chuck the score on, man.
Oh.
It's on Spotify.
Is it
I had
really?
a bit of a listen before.
The Terminator 1?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Bring that on.
Although, having said that, the Terminator 2 theme, it's fine. It's just as effective.
Yeah,
it's pretty similar. They changed the time signature, though. I was reading before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently, the time signature in the original one, we didn't really talk about the score much in the end. We said, but Brad Friedel, well done. Amazing score. The time signature, I think it's 13/16.
Yeah. And 2 is what?
12/8. So it goes. 13/16 is a strange, like it's a bit of an extension of like a 6/8 feel, but with an extra semiquaver.
Okay.
So awkward, puts you off your guard.
Okay.
6/8 is kind of like a bouncing 3, but because of that one extra semiquaver, it's like you've got the 3 feel, but then it's like it stutters every time. 12/8 is that extended, but much more stabilized. So yeah, I think it's strange that they changed it for the second one, maybe to create a sense of more heroic sense as opposed to the way that the original would probably put you on edge without you even realizing it because of that little extra semiquaver.
And that's in 2?
In 2, it's the stabilized version. In 1, it's the more jagged.
Ah, I like it.
Mm.
What is your favourite James Cameron film? Is it Terminator 2?
Yes.
It's not True Lies?
Nope.
Okay.
It's definitely Terminator 2, and
do you
I love Aliens as well. I think Aliens is probably his next best.
Shit. That was a very big thing, Aliens, between me and my brother. We watched that a shitload.
Yeah, well, we talked about this when we did our Alien episode.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we were talking about how much more important to us Aliens was as a film.
Oh, than Alien.
Yeah. Alien is a movie that I have, I have now seen.
Yeah.
And maybe had seen once before.
And I enjoy it. And especially as a film lover, it's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aliens
is something else.
Yeah.
Where does the Terminator movies rank in your Arnold Schwarzenegger-ness?
Oh, they're pretty high.
They are pretty high.
They are very high.
Maybe Predator, higher.
Predator's good. Conan's very high as well.
Yeah,
though.
Conan's super high.
And do you know what's actually also high? Last Action Hero.
Yeah,
that's a secret.
I like Last Action Hero a lot. I think that'll be a fun movie to talk about, but I can't mention it in the same breath as these ones.
Oh, hell
I feel
no.
like it just
no, of course
yeah,
not. No.
Doesn't
Terminator 2 is insane. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was going to mention something, now it's gone. No. It was about James Cameron. No. Oh, do you think that he's we can get rid of this if you want.
No, we've got time.
How many films has he done?
Oh, what is it, like 7 or 8?
Do you think that's a waste? Do you think he's wasting his time? This is a man that has given you Terminator 2, he's given you Aliens, he's given you True Lies. Those are not shy films. He's given you the Titanic. That's not a small film. Do you think that he's this is a man that if he wanted to, he could punch out a film every 2 years or every 1 year if he wanted?
Yeah, what I think is more disappointing is that we're now probably just going to get Avatar movies for the next decade of his career. And so if by chance you're not interested in that, which I'm not really.
I'm not.
It's very likely that we might not get
another James Cameron
film because I would imagine he'll be in his 60s or 70s by the time he finishes all this nonsense.
Who gives a shit about Avatar?
And there's, and based on how low his output of work is, he tends to take a long time to make a film.
Yeah. Which is fine.
It might be it. We might have our James Cameron filmography in the bank already.
Okay.
So, I mean, is it a waste? I feel like it's a hard question to answer because if he decides he wants to spend this, we probably wouldn't have Titanic, which is an amazing movie, if he didn't become obsessed with it and do all those deep sea dives that he did and spend years of his life researching it. We probably wouldn't have Titanic.
Sure.
So maybe it's kind of like it's a bit of a palm off. We get to have these great movies that exist because he took the time to focus on something in his life that inspired him to make those movies.
Okay.
So I get where you're coming from. I'd love to have more James Cameron movies, but the ones we have
will suffice.
Are pretty excellent.
Okay.
Is there a bad James Cameron movie?
Have you seen The Abyss?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Oh.
Is it good?
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay. I've never seen it.
It's been a very long time since I've seen it. I should just reserve judgment ever so slightly, but I have memories of it being outstanding.
Sure. Is there a bad James Cameron movie?
I haven't seen Piranha 2.
I have. Fucking gold.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So it doesn't count.
It's
his bad one.
It's hilarious. Gold. His bad one is Avatar. I'm gonna put my stamp of approval on it. Avatar sucks.
I'd have to watch it again. It's like I said, it's only been in the cinema.
Exactly. No, I'm kidding. I would like to watch it again.
Because what we have when we used to play it in JB to show off
the
Blu-ray.
3D.
Yeah, and 3D stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on, Nick.
Moving on, Tys.
What did you watch this week?
You'll have to go first because I don't remember I don't think I watched anything.
All right,
because I'm knee deep in the Mind Hunter.
Oh, of course, Mind Hunter season 2.
Yeah, man.
What do I want to talk about? Have we talked about? You talked about Shazam, but have we both talked about it?
No, go for it. I want to know what you thought.
So remind me, you weren't a huge fan.
I wasn't. It was a little too kid friendly. I felt that it was a movie for the kiddies. The one movie for the kids under 12, which is fine.
Yeah,
which is great. It's a bit more appealing than Martha. Anything like that, which is a bit more refreshing for DC. But it was all right. Didn't blow up my skirt. Neither here nor there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had quite a good time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from, and I agree to a certain extent because I just can't imagine this character working without that being a part of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to see a movie like that isn't kid friendly with Billy Batson as your lead.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think they did enough to kind of sway into darker territory. I think those random monsters, they're a bit of a waste of a character, but they are quite threatening.
Yeah.
And Mark Strong is excellent.
Love
I thought
Mark
he was
Strong.
really good. Yeah, and surprisingly moving storyline. I got really invested in the Foster family and that whole dynamic. I found really it really won me over as like from an emotional standpoint. There's a moment where it was the little sister that saw for the first time and was like, "Do you want to be a good sister? You can't tell anyone." And and the moment where the rest of them figure it out, and she's like, "I'm a good sister."
Yeah,
I was like, "This is you." I think I'm really enjoying you people.
Okay. I did really enjoy him going to see. I thought it was a bold thing to do. Him going to see his mum and his mum just not giving two fucks.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, okay, wow, that's
really
nice.
different.
Well done there.
And just kind of the way that it had a lot to say about like that very interesting family dynamic, and I think it for people that maybe are a little bit
people
swayed by that whole idea of I liked it because in other movies we're so used to it being finding the original family, and yes, look, it might not work out, but there's still that kind of that love there and all that kind of stuff. But what if it is just someone that's just like, yeah, look, sorry,
I'm not really
happy. As long as you're happy, it's cool.
Exactly.
And like the moment where he gave her the compass and she was like, "What the hell is this?" And it's just like how something that has been so significant for you in your life is just completely disregarded by this person that it represented. Yeah. I think that was there was some really strong stuff in that.
It was quite good.
But yeah, but
as a whole, I was like,
I can see what you're saying. I did enjoy the twist at the end, I guess, but it's in the comics. But the I don't want to spoil it, but and it was good to see a couple of actors in that regard that I was like, oh hey,
what's going on?
Cool.
Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah, but I had a relatively good time with it. It's probably, like I said, based on other DC movies, it's probably one of my favorites. I think it's stronger than Aquaman for sure.
I haven't seen Aquaman. I want to watch Wonder Woman again.
I've got this terrible fear that Wonder Woman is not going to hold up for me on a second watch, because there were a lot of things in it that I felt like we were disregarding because it was finally a reasonable movie from DC,
and also because it was the very first female superhero as well.
I think there's a lot of shit in that movie that we just all went, no,
it's fine,
it's still really good.
Don't look at that
because of this other stuff.
Yeah,
because that's the stuff I remember. Like, I don't remember the good stuff. I don't remember. I think of Wonder Woman in my head. I'm like, what did I actually like about it? Because all I can remember is that garbage brawl at the end.
Yeah, all I can remember is just the clunky stuff, like her walking through doors with a shield, and I'm like, you wouldn't do that. You just wouldn't do that. Like, you wouldn't do that. Like, clearly you wouldn't do that.
Specific,
like
how specific that is.
Like,
who walks through a door with a shield? Come on.
No, only because they're drawing attention to it. Sure, you would do it, and that's fine, but we don't need to see it. Did you ever see Captain America walk through a fucking door and go clang? Oh, sorry, guys.
No, but he's badass. Like, he could flick it onto his back.
Yeah, exactly.
So I, for me, it kind of ranks around the top of the DC movies.
It's up there, but up there for DC is not that.
Because
far.
I actually, thinking about it, there's not really anything in it that I detested, and there is not a single DC movie that has been released yet that I haven't been like, even ones where I'm like, at least that was tolerable. There's stuff that it's like, that was garbage.
No, that's true.
And there was nothing in Shazam that had anything that actually physically made me a bit upset.
That's very true.
Oh God, how can you keep fucking that up?
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, that's true. I'll pay that. Yeah.
There you go. That's the glowing endorsement of Shazam. There wasn't a moment that
Shazam
made me shake my fist in the air.
Exactly.
And
DC. Oh God. I watched Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've got to get around to this. What did you think?
I had to have a think. I had to kind of sit back and go, was that a good film?
Okay, that's always an interesting
do you know what I mean? Like,
space to be
in. Visually, it looked great.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the environment that it was in. I loved that the world that they set up was really cool. It felt a little rushed. It felt like we were just...
Which is odd considering how long that movie took to get made.
Exactly. And how long the run... It's not a very short film either.
Right.
So where is that time going? And where is it being spent?
I remember the anime or the manga not being very long either.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's funny like that you can say that it feels condensed and rushed. I think it's like an 80-minute cartoon.
Okay.
Is it? Do people get up in arms if you call anime cartoons? Do they like crack the sads?
There probably will be, but who cares? Okay. So what I was watching was it was some eye candy. It was interesting. Were there rad action sequences? Kind of. but I wasn't attached to the characters, so I really didn't give two fucks.
That's obviously a problem.
Yeah. So the storyline, the story on itself as a whole was actually quite good, but because I was getting the arse end of the story, I was getting the third act already, I was kind of like, oh, okay. So clearly there's more of a story here, which I don't really know. And, okay, great. You know what I mean? So, I've
just gotten confirmation from the IMDb.
Oh, okay, yep.
The anime that's based on 54 minutes.
54 minutes. Okay. This was 122. So it was
more than double the length.
More than double the length. Where did it go?
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah. So it just let me. There was nothing that wowed me to the point where I was like, "Whoa, that was really awesome," or anything like that. It was just another. It was okay. It was just
compared
another
to like
okay.
Ghost in the Shell.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I don't know. Thinking of what's a film that I watched recently where
it's a hard
kind of you're like, whoa, okay, that was really awesome. Like. Because only because I didn't know anything about Alita Battle Angel. Normally, with films that I'm watching now, I know something about it. So I watched Hitchcock. Now, I've studied Hitchcock, so I kind of know some things and what has happened and read a bit about him and things like that. Like, if I'm watching a superhero movie, I kind of know what's going on and what can happen.
Yeah, I don't think that you need to have that awareness. I think just the comparison, obviously, I was trying to make is that where we have had a few of these adaptations of anime properties, and I think collectively we're all a bit over it because none of them have been spectacular.
Yeah, exactly.
And for something like Alita, which was such a long work in progress, to kind of come out eventually and be a bit of a shrug, I think that might be kind of the end of it. This Akira is apparently still happening, but I just can't see people busting down doors for this stuff anymore because the reviews for Alita were actually relatively strong. Like most people, it was reviewed relatively well because most people said it was kind of a surprise because they thought it would be horseshit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I didn't think it was going to be horseshit. I thought I would have liked it, but I thought I would have liked it at the level that I liked the Fantastic Four film.
Sure.
I could watch it, but, I don't know, I just didn't...
I could watch half of that movie.
It didn't...
half of it I like.
It didn't elicit any feelings.
Yeah, sure.
So I was like, okay.
All right. So you move on with your life?
I move on
Carry on.
What am I going to watch next?
Yeah. I will give it a watch because I'm quite interested. And I still like Robert Rodriguez as a director, even though
I love him.
I don't think he's made a movie I've liked in 10 years. But I still want to give him, a go anytime he releases anything. Because, that's what he's earned it.
I did love Christoph Waltz.
Of course.
Everyone
loves Christoph Waltz.
How can you not like Christoph Waltz?
Yeah. All right, well, let's forego our Crossing the Streams this week, Nicholas.
Nice.
And that'll be the show.
That'll be the show.
Is that the end? That's the end.
I like it. What are we going to do next week, Tyson?
I don't know, man.
Do we know?
No.
We do not.
We'll tell you about it in the socials.
Fantastic. Jump on those socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Make sure you write in because Halloween is just around the corner.
That's
so if there is a franchise that you would like us to do, Nightmare on Elm Street, we can totally do it. It's fine. Nightmare on Elm Street. We can absolutely give it a shot. Nightmare on Elm Street.
How many movies in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise? 7? No remake? We're not worrying about the remake?
No. Why would we do the remake?
Because technically it's part of it. I feel like, don't we have to?
No, that's 8, and that's another Saw. Like, I love... Nightmare on Elm Street is my favourite horror franchise.
8 is acceptable.
8 is we're going to do 8.
8 is the limit.
Fuck.
Try and keep it to a franchise that has 8 or less for now.
Well, we did Nightmare on Elm Street 1 last year.
Oh, was that only last year?
Yeah.
Well, we have a whole month worth of Spookisodes, so we've got a blank slate this year. We haven't really locked anything in. So, if you've got anything that you'd like us to talk about,
excuse me, we did lock one in.
What did we lock in?
Earlier this evening? We locked in the Descent.
Oh yes, of course.
You're not getting out of that.
How could I have forgotten about that one? But we do have plenty of other weeks in October where we just we're never really sure what content we're going to do. So get on board.
Jump on it.
It does look like it's another 5.
It's a 5er. I love it. So jump on that email, write Tyson email and me myself. Just add me. Just go hi Nick at the end. That's what I like. Nick Tyson Videotape at gmail.com.
That's it.
Follow us on Letterboxd. If you haven't downloaded Letterboxd yet,
Get on it.
What are you doing?
It's a lot of fun.
Come on, man.
Have a read, follow a bunch of people.
Exactly.
Get involved.
It's
good
fun.
time.
It's fun. But other than that, like, share, review, tell your mum.
Yeah.
Do all those things.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Hey,
we'd love for you to do it.
We would indeed.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Nick. That's been a lot of fun, my
Tys,
man.
that's been good, buddy.
All right, I'll catch you later.
I'm going to watch Terminator 1 again. I really am. And then I'm going to watch Terminator 2. 4K! How good was it? Fuck, it was good. All right. Bye, Tys.